This whole 2020 presidential election has cast a huge dark shadow over our whole electoral process, and I'm about to get into 8, count them, 8 examples of legit fraud that needs to be brought to light and or tried in the courts, especially the Supreme Court of the United States. Let's get ready to get into it. By the way, I want to thank everyone for visiting my channel. This is Bruce the Boss Brooks. If you are new to the channel, please smash on that subscribe button, as well as like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. Right now, we're in a time where the mainstream media and social media have the audacity to try to call this election before it's over and suppress any and all alternative views and or comments, as well as bury all of this fraudulent information and censor. And your subscription to this channel, as well as liking the video, goes a long way with help bringing to light a lot of the corruption and what's really going on to try to force a change and also force a hearing in the courts and or the Supreme Court, and also hopefully waking up and enlighten the masses. Now more than ever, we need to stand united, come together, and fight this blatant and obvious corruption and fraud that's being committed right in front of our faces, as they are also trying to present this to be the new normal and say that there is no evidence of fraud, all the while suppressing and censoring any and all evidence and or voices contesting what we saw with our own eyes. But let's get into this fraud. So I'm going to break it down point by point and or each case by case, and I'm just going to talk about the very important cases right now that really have a chance, stand a chance in court, and I think that the public and the world needs to know about. I mean, in my last video, I for the most part just vented a lot of irregularities, but I really just want to focus on a lot of the legit cases here. So let's start with the first one. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen the Project Veritas video. I'm going to get into that a little bit later in this video, and so please stay tuned to the whole video to see each and every point. But I'm going to start with the biggest bombshell, biggest whistleblower, and that was a Richard Hopkins, a U.S. postal worker in Erie County, Pennsylvania, who has decided to dox himself, come out. He didn't care if his name gets exposed, what happens with his job, and or the pressure he's going to get. He said, this is very, too important for me to keep quiet. I am willing to testify in court, given his name, putting it out there. And he has said that his postmaster general there, and he's speaking mostly for Erie County, but I'm sure this is not just an isolated incident where he has been instructed or told, he and his fellow employees, to backdate mail-in ballots that came in after the November 3rd deadline. Again, let me repeat that. The postal workers in the state of Pennsylvania, which was the most crucial state that the media has allowed themselves to declare Joe Biden the winner yesterday, has said in the big state, crucial state of Pennsylvania, postal workers have been encouraged and are told to backdate the dates of the mail-in ballots, which calls into question all of the mail-in ballots that helped put Joe Biden over the top. So that's point number one. And to his credit, and I do want to give a shout out to the GOP candidates, the few that are stepping forward and calling for investigation. And Lindsey Graham is going to call a investigational hearing involving this case. So we'll wait and see where that goes. I think that's going to be the biggest one, which should lead to a recount of all of the votes and or following the I guess you can say the rabbit hole of this investigation and just how many mail-in ballots were post-dated. So can't wait to see the results of that. Then we have the situation with all of the poll watchers, GOP poll watchers, that were denied access to the polling places, especially during the mail-in ballot counts, despite their legal access to do so. I mean, and this is just going to be one video showing that example. Here we go.
You're not letting me in? Well, no. That's what I tell you. Call the police. Do it. If you legal, call the cops.
The city guy.
Okay.
Call it number. Tell him to call.
I have a citywide watcher certificate.
It's not for this location.
It's not for it. It's not. Is this the city of
Philadelphia?
This is the city of Philadelphia. This is the city of Philadelphia. This is the city of Philadelphia. You want to go through? You wants to talk outside, let's talk. I have a line. I asked you to read the line. The line said it's good in every word and division of the city.
So here you have a poll watcher who has in his hand the written permission and or authority to be there at that polling place, and he was denied complete entry, despite again being a valid poll watcher in the city of, for the city of Philadelphia, denied complete access and entry. While that may not be proof of fraud in and of itself, what are they doing that needs to be done in the dark that they are actively violating their these poll watchers' legal right to watch them? What do they have to hide? What are they doing that's shady? Now this, hopefully a recount occurs thanks to this whistleblower, Richard Hopkins, but again, it just calls into question, what are they trying to do and to get away with that they need to do it in secrecy? And then another lawsuit that has not yet been dismissed but is being under review is that we have proof that over 21,000 dead residents of Pennsylvania, individuals who have died long since 2018 and even 2016, were still on the voter rolls. And the lawsuit has proven so far they have proven that about 216 of these deceased Pennsylvanians were showing as being credited for voting in this presidential election. 216 so far out of 21,000. So Pennsylvania's, all of their numbers, everything needs to be investigated, audited, and recounted. Next, the big issue is, and most clear evidence of something shady going on happened in the state of Michigan, another crucial swing state. So I'm gonna play a video of GOP leaders in Antrim County, Michigan, I believe it's called, where there were voting irregularities with the Dominion system.
If all this wasn't enough, in Antrim County, ballots were counted for Democrats that were meant for Republicans, causing a 6,000 vote swing against our candidates. The county clerk came forward and said tabulating software glitched and caused a miscalculation of the votes. Since then, we have now discovered that 47 counties use this same software in the same capacity. Antrim County had to hand count all of the ballots.
So for those of you who weren't, who may not have been aware, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the Dominion software system, or should I say the Dominion election software. And there in Antrim County alone, they saw an issue where I believe over 6,000 votes for Trump went to Biden that luckily they caught and had to recount. And this software, same software, was used in 47 out of the other 83 counties in Michigan. But this was the only one where they actually caught it and then did a ballot recount. So that should call into question all of the other 47 counties that use this system. That needs to be challenged to the Supreme Court to force a recount of these votes. Because what are the odds that this was an isolated incident, especially when we can prove that in one case, practically thousands, literally thousands of other votes for Trump just went to Biden. We really need to do a recount of the entire state. And then not to mention the infamous whistleblower that came forward on Project Veritas. Now, unlike Richard Hopkins in Pennsylvania, this postal worker in Michigan decided to remain anonymous for now. This whistleblower through Project Veritas is also claiming the same situation where they're being directed in the city of Detroit to post-date mail-in ballots. Watch the video and you'll see for yourself.
Boxes, just outgoing mail in general, separate them at the end of the day so that they could hand stamp them with the previous day's date. Today is November 4th for clarification.
So 8 p.m. election day, November 3rd, the Court of Appeals ruled ballots have to be received by that time. And what were you told?
To separate them today so they could mark them with yesterday's date and send them through the express system to wherever they needed to go.
This appears to be an attempt to circumvent Michigan law and allow late votes. And you said there was a hamper where letter carriers were supposed to leave their ballots. Where are the ballots now?
They were putting them into express bags to go to the distribution center. In regards to a hamper, there was a standard hamper that all letter mail is supposed to go to. They had a tub next to it that we were supposed to put any ballots collected today into.
So not only do we have a Dominion system issue that is literally changing these votes from Trump to Biden. Gotta love the dog jumping into view though. I just gotta say I had to include her, and she's amazing. Hey Phoebe. But now we have a whistleblower who's trying to remain anonymous once again, coming forward and saying we're being told to backdate the dates of the mail-in ballots. So this needs to be investigated as well by the Department of Justice and by Congress. But they need to check these ballots and do a total recount in Michigan. That was point number 3. Then next up, still in the city of Detroit and in the state of Michigan, we have ballot watchers being denied access to the voting ballots despite having the credentials and training. They are being denied access to these voting and polling places, and they're even not only just getting kicked out, but the polling places were having their windows boarded up so that you couldn't see a thing. Once again, going back to the situation in Philadelphia, is what did they have to hide? Why are they doing everything in secrecy? Now, I do have to do this little disclaimer, is that a court in Michigan has denied at least the ballot watcher lawsuit that was claimed, despite the evidence of being denied access by the poll watchers, as well as some of these discrepancies in the absentee balloting. The courts in Michigan have said there have been no irregularities upholding the standards and the voting process so far in Michigan. They still have to investigate the Antrim County and Dominion software issue, I believe. But so far, at least the ballot watching has been denied in the courts. Just had to put that out there. But it's still very suspicious. But still, back on the issue of Dominion voting software. In the state of Georgia, where it was also used, and by the way, this was also used in a number of other of the swing states, including Nevada, Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, also maybe Pennsylvania. But the software had another crash, had a crash in the state of Georgia. In one of the counties in Georgia, the crash was so severe it caused all halting of the votes for about 2 to 3 hours in this one county in Georgia. This whole Dominion software system issue is such a scandal. We know it happened in Antrim County, Michigan. I think all of the places, particularly at least the swing states that use the Dominion software system during the election balloting, needs to be investigated. Now, there is a recount happening in Georgia as we speak of the election, and so hopefully all of the voting irregularities are properly vetted and are investigated during this recount, and we can see just how big this Dominion software system issue is and the impact that it had on the election. And there are other cases being brought up right now. I believe there is also a referral for Attorney General Barr to investigate what's going on in Nevada. We now have claims that thousands of individuals who no longer live in the state of Nevada were shown as voting and are showing credit for voting in the state of Nevada. In addition to that, there's also a case that's been brought up, and thank you for the honest Good Samaritan there in Nevada, where his own underage sons have been given ballots where they cast. So this is causing a huge shadow over the whole voting process in Nevada, which they're not even done yet. They're still bringing in a lot of votes, still counting. Now, we definitely need to get our voices raised and heard and bring these issues to light and keep the fight going and take this all the way to the Supreme Court. Cannot allow the media to also try to control the perspective and call this election, which they've already done. Again, voting has not been done the ballots have not been done cast or counted yet. There's a lot of suspicion being held in a lot of these key states like Michigan, like Georgia, as well as Pennsylvania. North Carolina hasn't even been called yet, and Arizona hasn't even been called yet. We need to keep bringing a lot of these suspicious issues up to the light. That's my video. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Again, if you agree, don't forget to smash on that like button. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscription button to keep this voice going and keep the message going out there, especially in a world where they're trying to suppress all information. It seems as though even Fox News has joined in on the bias and or attack Trump campaign, because I understand that they even canceled Judge Janine Piero's show, not permanently, just last night, because she was going to bring up these cases of potential voter fraud, but they're not trying to have this discussion being had even on Fox News. So we need to keep this fight alive, keep the information going, despite the mainstream media and even social media's attempt to suppress it. So this is Bruce, the Boss Brooks. I'm out.